Guys, it looks like we are live. Welcome to WMMA Scene Report episode 11. Preview for Invicta FC 33 and Road FC 51. Hold on one second, guys. I gotta turn off the TV. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I had to turn that off for a second. Alright, so we're back. So, as usual, we're going to go over the weekend fight results, fight news, and announcements, and then we'll go over into the discussion today is entirely dedicated to Road FC 51 and Invicta FC 33. My Invicta FC 33 notes might not be that great, so I'll try to do maybe another second part to this preview later on in a week. I was typing all my notes up, and then freaking disaster at work computer. So, anyway, we'll get started with the fight results. So, Friday, one championship at 115 pounds. Gian Radzuan defeated Jenny Juan by unanimous decision. Also at 115, VV May Yamaguchi defeated Jo Marie Torres by unanimous decision. And then finally at 135, Savannari M defeated Irina Kisilova by unanimous. Actually, I don't think that was UD. I think that was a TKO, and that fight was at 135 pounds. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to watch any of those. And then also at LFA 56, I believe that was also on Friday. 115 pounds, Rachel Lippert defeated Amanda Byers by split decision. And at Combate Americas 27, Karina Herrera defeated Maria Paula Buzaglo by submission due to guillotine choke. 4 minutes, 1 second of round 2. And finally on Friday at TKO 45, at 125 pounds, Jade Masson Wong defeated Marilyn Micallef by KO TKO due to punches. 2 minutes, 58 seconds, round 3. At 130 pounds, Corinne Laframboise defeated Morgane Rabot by submission due to triangle choke at 1 minute and 17 seconds of round 2. So a couple of finishes up in the Great White North. I don't blame them. They probably wanted, they're fighting in fight outfits. It's freaking cold in Canada. They probably wanted to hurry up, get those fights done so they could get bundled back up. Saturday at Kaiser 2, Shiu Park defeated Jay Che. I'm not sure exactly how. I want to say decision. Now is at 105 pounds. EFC 76, 115 pound title fight happened between Karolina Wojcik, who defeated came in on late notice, like less than 2 weeks, and defeated the champion Kiara Penko by split decision after 5 rounds. I got to watch bits and pieces of that fight. It was a good fight from what I could tell, but every time I watched it, it was like late at night, and I fell asleep. I would keep like dozing out. The big key was that Kiara Penko is big 115 pounder. I mean, big 115 pounder. She had trouble making weight. Apparently, she needed help off the scales afterwards. And then she's fighting at EFC. It took place in Pretoria in South Africa, which the commentators were saying is at altitude. And she gasses out after the first round usually, and whereas Karolina Wojcik is very small, very nimble, very fast, and was able to did very good job of being a small fighter and darting in and out with her strikes. So good fight. I believe it is still up on DAZN, DAZN, the streaming platform. So if you have a subscription to DAZN, go ahead and check that out. Also on Saturday, UFC 231, 125 pounds, Jessica Ai defeated Katlyn Chookagian by split decision. I was pretty impressed with Jessica Ai, and it mainly boils down to one reason. She finally fought to win instead of fighting to not lose. I think that was the big key here in this fight, was a change in attitude, a change in how she went about fighting. So usually you watch Jessica Ai, and she's fighting not to lose, and she's losing some decisions and just not making good decisions. Whereas here, she outstruck Chukagian. I thought Catlin was going to outpoint fight her, but Jessica Ai was usually like half a step to 2 steps ahead of her. Very good counters and just generally outstruck her. Very impressive win for Jessica Ai, and in a division that's still only a year old, immediately defeating someone who was on a 2-fight win streak and someone that many people were saying was in contention. It definitely puts her Jessica Ai now into title contention. So congrats Jessica Ai on getting a big win at 125. That also makes her 3-0 in the division, which I believe might be the division high right now within the UFC, of course. Also at 120. Oh, so excuse me. No, I'm sorry. At 115 pounds, Nina Ansaroff defeated Claudia Gadelha by unanimous decision. Huge win for Ansaroff, guys. Huge win. She was ranked outside the top 10. She was within the 10 to 14 range. I want to say like number 13 or 14 at the time. Beating the number like 3 or 4, Claudia Gadelha. Huge win for Ansaroff. And she did it mostly by using, fundamentals. Can't emphasize how important fundamentals can be in fighting, because, she outworked Claudia. She stuck to fundamentals. Like I said, I know I like to repeat myself a lot, but fundamentals are key. So she outworked her. And a big thing is, honestly, guys, I think Gadelha is on a severe decline right now. She got beat bad by Andrade. Barely scraped by Esparza in a fight that a lot of people felt that Esparza won. And then now she loses to Nina Ansaroff, who was outside the top 10. Now, that's not say nothing bad about Ansaroff, She fought a lot better in this fight than she did in any other fights. But also, Claudia Gadelha is on a decline. And honestly, it's noticeable ever since she moved to the U.S. I think a lot of times coming to the U.S. can be really good for a fighter. But I think in her case, she needs to go back to Nova União in Brazil. They didn't give her the best advice in her fight against Joanna the second time. But man, she was doing way better down there than she is here. If she keeps fighting the way she did Saturday night, she'll be outside the top 10 by the end of the next year. It's bad. Like, the way she declined. I mean, she went from having a 2-round gas tank, maybe 3-round gas tank, to having a 1-round gas tank. How does your... And she was training like down in Arizona. How are you training in Arizona, which is, a little bit better elevation than most of the U.S., and how does your gas tank get worse? I don't understand that. So, co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko put on a freaking masterwork display against Joanna Jędrzejczyk to win this unanimous decision and become the UFC 125-pound champion. Congrats to Valentina. That was a truly masterwork display, guys. I thought the only way that Joanna was going to win was with volume, but the volume was not working. Valentina's footwork and her avoidance techniques are amazing. She's just amazing at avoiding getting hit, especially to the head. They were talking about she doesn't have much head movement like this. The commentators were, and Joanna's coaches were saying. But one thing that someone on the Sherdog forums brings up is that, she doesn't have to just bob and weave her head. When Joanna moves, she's moving her whole body and combining it with her footwork, with lateral movement to get out of the way. It is... Go back and watch the fight again if you can. Find a video online. Watch it again. And watch the way she avoids. And her spinning back kicks probably second to none in the entire UFC, and that includes the men. Um, One thing Joanna did really well, and which helped her in the later rounds, was when she attacked the body of Valentina. Valentina definitely slowed down in the championship rounds. She was definitely moving a little bit slower. Her takedown attempts weren't. I think she only got like one takedown attempt in the fourth and fifth round combined. So she definitely did really, really well to sap the energy of Valentina in that way. So that was definitely the best thing Joanna did all night. And also, Joanna's takedown defense is second to none, especially defending the legs. But Valentina attacks the upper body, and I don't think she did. Yeah, I think she did like maybe one lower body takedown the entire fight. It was the rest was all upper body. So every time it was a throw, it was a trip throw, amazing takedowns. I'm not the biggest Valentina Shevchenko fan. I think she could definitely be more aggressive in fights. I think she is a little bit too risk averse. But you know what? She wins fights, and she's an amazing striker. So congrats to that. I'm not a big fan of her attitude a lot of the times. I think she's a little uppity. But you can't take anything away from her, the way she fought this weekend. Definitely the way to win a fight like that. And also the size difference, I think, played a big factor too in this fight. I want to say, a lot of people saying, well, Joanna's taller or whatever. Valentina's definitely wider than Joanna, and she definitely has a lot more upper body strength. She definitely, she's stocky. Valentina's stocky, so her strength is concentrated, whereas, Joanna's lanky. None of her muscles really concentrated as much, and she's just not as strong. Valentina was definitely like the wider fighter and definitely stronger. A lot of people saying, "Oh, the weight difference." Valentina weighed in less than Joanna did. She's definitely a bigger fighter, and definitely a hell of a lot stronger. Just the way she took Joanna down the way she did in those first 3 rounds so many times. And hell, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, you might get her down on the ground, but you're not going to keep her there for too long. Every time, I think, she fought her way back up. She's very Chuck Liddell-esque in the way that she finds a way to get out and get back up off the ground. I'm going to move that over here. So, just a great fight overall. I mean, technical display. I won't say it was a great fight. It was a very good fight. To me, a great fight is more back and forth, It leaves you wondering a little more, well, who's going to come away with this? So to me, it was a very good fight, just shy of a great fight. If Joanna would have made it a little more competitive, arguably won the 4th round, but not enough to really make the fight overall competitive. So, good fight, guys. Definitely, if you haven't watched it, why? Why haven't you watched it? And then, please, go watch it. Moving along, finally Sunday, there were 2 women's fights. I only found results for one at Pancrase 302. At 125 pounds, I think it was, 125. CD Roca defeated Maria Suzuki by TKO due to GMP in round 2. I haven't had a chance to get on Fight Pass and watch it yet, but from what I read in an article on, I think it was AsianMMA.com, is some pretty nasty GMP. So go check it out. Maria Suzuki is a beast standing, though. She is a nasty kickboxer. If you can find her fight in Angels fighting against Hyo Kyun Song, ooh, man, beat Song up bad. So going to move along to news and announcements. First, before I forget, because I didn't write it down in my notes, Sabina Mazo, the LFA flyweight champion, I believe she's 5-0 or 6-0, has now signed on to fight in the UFC. So UFC flyweight division, watch out. So she's the second flyweight to be signed by the UFC. from LFA. The other one being the previous champion, Andrea KGB Lee. Having watched the two, I know a lot of hype behind KGB. A lot of that's due to her looks. Mazo is the real deal. I think that KGB is a lot of hype, and she has yet to really be tested ever since her second loss to, I can't think of her name. I have her in my head. I have the face. Can't think of the name. But she hasn't been tested in a long time. So, I think out of those two that come from LFA, which LFA really builds up their fighters. And by building them up, I mean it's boxing style build up. Mad Pickin in the chat says it was Roxanne. Roxanne was her first loss. The second loss was to another fighter in Invicta. I can't remember. Really, like Mohawk. I think she had a Mohawk at the time. Damn, can't think of it. Probably end up thinking of it in the middle of the stream later on, and I'll probably blurt it out. Anyway, I think Sabino Mazo definitely has a lot more potential than KGB Lee. Other news and announcements. So, Lauren Murphy versus Ashley Evans Smith is set for UFC Phoenix February 17th. That's at 125 pounds. Two wrestlers. That'll be an interesting fight. It'll be interesting to see if Evan Smith makes 125 again. The way she made it the first time, I was very surprised. She looked like freaking concentration camp prisoner. You know, it was bad. Also announced for the same event, Jessica Penney versus Jodie Escobar added to that same event. At 115 pounds. So you have two people who have both fought at 105 in the UFC, fighting at 115. I'm hoping that whoever wins, they do it in a good way so that they get interviewed afterwards and they make a speech asking for, look down here, guys. It should be right there. UFC atomweight. I'm hoping they ask for it. Whoever wins. I'm almost positive Jessica Penney will. Hoping either one of them asks for it. Should be an interesting fight. Also, Montana De La Rosa versus Nadia Kassem set for UFC 234 in Melbourne, February 9th, and that's for 125. So, Nadia Kassem, again, fighting in her home country. She's moving up to 125. Good move. I think she missed last time at 115. And she's coming off a win, I believe, against Astro Girl. Whereas Montana De La Rosa, if I remember correctly, is coming off a win over Rachel Ostovich in her last fight. And then also Liz Carmouche versus Lucia Pudilova, set for UFC on ESPN Plus 3 in Prague, Czech Republic on February 23rd. That's at 125 pounds. Lucia Pudilova moving down to 125 from bantamweight. Also fighting Liz Carmouche, another former bantamweight. It's like, man, everyone's jumping ship at bantamweight. I think Pudilova should have stayed at 135 personally. Bantamweight is thinning out. It's going to be easier to get a title shot. I know she's coming off a loss to Irene Aldana, but that was a damn good fight. Could have gone either way. Well, no, that's revisionist. I think Aldana definitely won that fight, but I thought it was a very good fight. Whereas now she's moving down to flyweight and facing Liz Carmouche. Liz Carmouche is probably the single toughest wrestler at flyweight. And she's going to be a tough out for anybody because of that experience. And, her striking has grown to better levels of competency as well in the last 6 years or so. I'm making an early prediction. I'm going to predict Carmouche. Pudilova is a good striker. Very aggressive. But that could also play into Carmouche's wrestling and takedowns. Big announcement. It was made earlier today. UFC 233 in Anaheim on January 26th is now postponed, canceled. According to the UFC website, they're still planning 12 pay-per-view events in 2019. So probably 1 month's going to have like 2 pay-per-view events now. The next event's still going to be UFC 234 now. They didn't really give a reason. I think it was because they couldn't find a main event. Or they couldn't finalize the main event. I think that was the one they wanted Nick Diaz for. I can't remember. If that's why, that's definitely a reason why I can't remember, because I don't give a crap about Nick Diaz anymore. So as a result of this event being canceled, Yana Kunitskaya versus Marion Renault at 135 pounds has been moved to UFC on ESPN Plus number 4 on March 9th. Location to be decided. And Courtney Casey versus Cynthia Calvillo at 115 pounds has been moved to USP 1 in Phoenix, February 17th. So now that USPN event, the first one for the UFC on the ESPN channel, now has 3 women's mixed martial arts events. So that'll be a big event for, this channel and all women's MMA. Women getting a chance to shine on ESPN. I'm very excited for it. However, that really sucks for the fighters that were preparing for that event, because now they have to put their fight camps back. Casey and Calvillo have to extend it for another month if they're already in. Yeah, most of these fighters are already in camp because it's a month out. So Calvillo, Casey have to extend their fight camp by a month. That's a lot more expenditures. Kunitskaya and Renault have to extend their camps by 2 months, or cancel their current camp and pick it back up. Who knows what that's going to cost? Hopefully, these ladies all have some decent sponsors that'll help them out as far as, their fight camps go. So, anyway, moving on to this weekend, before we get into the 2 that I'm going to focus on, the 2 whole women events I'm going to focus on, we'll talk about, there's 2 Bellator events this weekend, Friday night and Saturday night, and there's a UFC on Fox event on Saturday night. So first, Bellator 212, presented with the USO as a Fight for the Troops event. Really cool. I'm a veteran myself. Thank you, Bellator, for supporting the troops. The USO is a great organization. They put on great events for the troops stationed overseas, away from home, and stateside. And USO does like so many things for the U.S. military. It's called United Service Organizations, and it's made up of a bunch of organizations, including the YMCA and a bunch of others that escape my memory right now. USO is great. Like, when I was doing my training in San Antonio, the USO has a lounge at San Antonio International Airport for military. You can go, you can get a cup of coffee, you can chill out on the couches and the chairs, really plush leather furniture. It was great. I slept overnight there one time because I had a flight early in the morning. That's the kind of stuff the USO does, in addition to just so many charitable works. So I'm really happy that Bellator chose to work with them and do a Fight for the Troops event, which has been sorely lacking since the UFC quit doing them. They did like 2. So both of these events are going to be in the Blaisdell Arena. Bellator 212, 125 pounds, Alejandra Lara coming in at 7-2 versus Juliana Velasquez coming in at 7-0. These 2 are both grappling specialists. Well, no, I'd say Lara is probably more of a striking specialist, but she likes to go to the ground, and that really hurt her against Ilima-Lei Macfarlane in her title shot. Hopefully she is able to keep it standing this time, because I think she's definitely a better striker than Velasquez. Velasquez, BJJ, I want to say black belt. Anyone feel free in the chat or in the comments afterwards, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say she's a BJJ black belt. Hopefully Lara stays smart, keeps it on the feet this time. If it goes to the ground, I got to go with Velasquez. I think she's even a better grappler than Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. So Lara will have a lot of trouble there, where I think if she keeps it standing, she'll have an easier time. The next night, Bellator 213, 125-pound Flyweight Championship. Illuminate McFarlane, the defending champ, coming in with a perfect 8-0 record against, I'm going to say this is her toughest test to date, Valerie Letourneau, coming in with 10-6. Letourneau is coming in off of a win versus Christina Williams, I believe. McFarlane's coming in off her win over Alejandra Lara. Her first successful title defense. So this is her second time defending the title. Striking wise, gotta give the advantage to Letourneau. On the ground, Letourneau is a competent wrestler. McFarlane, very good, very crafty with her submissions. Very, very interesting fight. Who wins? Toss a coin. Stays on the feet. I got to give it to Letourneau. McFarlane's striking is very basic in that it's functional and it allows her to get fights to the ground, whereas Letourneau is a kickboxer. On the ground, we'll see who lands on top. The advantage on the ground is going to go to whoever gets on top. McFarlane's crafty as on off her back as well. But with these two, they're both way better on top than they are on bottom. So toss a coin. I think Letourneau has never quite been the same ever since her loss to Yana Jędrzejczyk. I think she was killing herself to make 115 pounds at the time. And she hasn't ever looked quite the same. Even when she returned to 125 pounds, she's on a 2-fight win streak, I believe, in Bellator. Still not quite, the same. Toss a coin, but for the heck of it, I'm going to say Illuminate McFarlane defends by unanimous decision. So moving along, UFC on Fox 31 Saturday night. At 125 pounds, Jessica Rose Clark coming in at 9-5 takes on Andrea Lee at 9-2. So you have the rock steady, solid worker versus the pretty hype job, Andrea Lee. Could be a good fight. I hope Jessica Rose Clark has to make this fight dirty, guys. She's got to make it a dirty fight, and she's got to be unorthodox, which unfortunately she's really not. Lee has a weakness against unorthodox fighters. Even in her win against Veronica Macedo, anytime Macedo threw unorthodox kicks or did something really unorthodox, it threw KGB Lee off. Someone described KGB Lee this way, and I'll expand on it a little further. Andrea Lee is a by-the-book fighter, as in she trains... she trains out of the Karate Mafia, so it's like she almost trains like... She almost fights like a karateka would fight sticking to katas. So it's like if a fighter does this, then she knows to react this way. Or she does this, if a fighter reacts this way, she knows how to further react that in a certain way. It's like she's very by the book, so that if you do something to throw her off, it screws her up. Also, she tends to be a bit of a front runner. So if she gets in trouble, and in her 2 losses, both times she got in trouble, she was done for. So for Jessica Rose Clark to win this fight, she has to, 1, be unorthodox, which she's not an orthodox fighter, unfortunately. And then she has to get KGB Lee in trouble, which is not going to be easy for her either. Personally, I'll be rooting for Jessica Rose Clark. I'm thinking KGB Lee wins this one. So anyway, we're going to move on now to... we'll start with Invicta, because I'll speed through Invicta a little bit. And then we'll move on to Road FC as well. So the first fight at Invicta FC, pictures up now. Chantel Coates making her pro debut versus Ashlyn Kleinbeck, also making her pro debut at flyweight. I don't know either of these fighters. They both apparently have amateur records. Let me bring it up using multiple social devices here for social media. So Coates is coming off a loss in her last amateur fight with 2 wins behind it. Kleinbeck was win, loss, win in her amateur career. Again, I'll be honest, I don't know either of these two fighters, unfortunately. Didn't get a chance to watch them. So, no pick on this one. Next fight up. Damn it. Move that over. Okay, next fight up. Ashley Medina should be on the left in the black versus Anastasia Nikolakakos at 105 pounds. First atomweight fight of the card. Ashley Medina's coming in 0-1. Her last fight was a loss to Jillian DeCourcy a little over a year ago in Invicta, so she's returning to Invicta for the first time. Anastasia Nikolakakos making her promotional debut. She's coming in off a unanimous decision win at BTC. I don't really know that. Again, unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry. I don't really know these two very good. Looking forward to the fight, though. Always down for atomweight fights. Welcome back to Invicta, Ashley Medina, and welcome to Invicta, Anastasia Nikolakakos. Very Greek name. Very Greek. That's all I can say about that. Moving along. Another picture that wasn't sized right. I thought I had fixed all these. Sarah Klekska versus Brittany Victoria Grizel at 135 pounds. Klekska is coming off a loss in her Invicta debut. She's coming in at 2-1. She's coming off a loss to Lisa Spangler. Well, that's, no shame in a loss to Lisa Spangler. The Strangler is a tough fighter. Grizel coming out of also United States, coming in at 2-0, coming off a win over TKO win 3 months ago. So quick turnaround for her, whereas Klekska fought 7 months ago. Don't know Grizel very well. I remember the fight with Klekska. Should be pretty good. I'm going to go with Klekska. Not going to pick a method here. No, wrong picture. Nope. Yes. So moving along to 115 pounds, making her Invicta debut. She's returning to Invicta FC. Jamie Moyle coming back from the UFC, taking on promotional newcomer, I believe, Brianna Van Buren in the strawweight division. So Moyle is coming off of 2 straight losses to Viviane Pereira a year and a half ago, and then Emily Whitmire by decision 5 months ago at, what was that, in the UFC, it doesn't say the event. Brianna Van Buren, 4-2, coming in off a win over, Brianna Van Buren has fought in Invicta before. She made her Invicta debut, a while ago, 3 years, 9 months ago. I'm not sure the event. She lost to Amy Montenegro, and then took 3 years off, or 3.5 years off, and then she made her return at URCC against Angela Samara, who was 3-3 at the time, won by submission due to rear naked choke. If you're not familiar with it, URCC is probably, it's the biggest MMA promotion in the Philippines. They stream their stuff on Facebook sometimes. They have another event coming up like this month. Interesting organization. They'll have them in like shopping malls, which the mall they'll have is like in a casino, and it's a huge mall. So you think it's in like a banquet room or a ballroom or something. No, it's in a shopping mall. It's pretty cool. So you ever get a chance, check out a URCC event. They do have women fights there, obviously. So Moyle's coming in, more experience. I believe she's with Team Alpha Male now. She was with Syndicate, I believe, for a while. Moved out to Team Alpha Male. Brandon Van Buren says trains at Ant Dogs MMA. I don't know where that is. I guess out in California. Saying where she's from. I'm going to have to go with Moyle here. Just the experience against better fighters and on a bigger stage. She has more experience at Invicta, more experience in the UFC. I'm going to go with Moyle here in this one. So we'll move along again. Hopefully this one's... And I have to keep moving these photos. It's ticking me off. I forgot to move all of them. So back to atom weight. Amber the Bully Brown versus Alicia Half-Pint Zapatella. The fight I'm most looking forward to besides the main event. This is at atom weight. Amber Brown coming in 7-4 versus Zapatella coming in with a perfect 4-0 record. Brown is coming off a win over Tessa Simpson 1 year ago, so she took a year off, and that was at atom weight. She won that by armbar. Zapatella, of course, coming in off of a unanimous decision victory over Jillian DeCorso and Invicta FC 30. So, pretty neat that Zapatella fought on the same card as the original fight for the main event, and now she's fighting on the same card as Fry versus Grusander again. So this fight is probably very highly possible a #1 contender fight for the Invicta FC atomweight title. Amber Brown, very experienced. She's fought in 2 divisions. She's fought mostly at atomweight. She had some bad luck at strawweight. Lost to Ashley Yoder. I think she lost to Ashley Cummins there as well, although that might have been a return to atomweight. I'm not sure. I can't remember quite. She also has... So she went... she had a win streak going for a while, and then she hit a bump. Lost to Hamasaki, Yoder, and Cummins. Now she... then she had that win against Simpson. That's been a year. So she's might be coming with some ring rust, but very strong fighter and very aggressive. I mean, she's called the bully for a reason, guys. Alicia Zapatella, very good wrestler, but she also showed off some very good striking and very freaking heavy hands against Jillian DeCourcy. Dropped DeCourcy on like 2 occasions, I think. Yeah, very heavy hands for an atom weight, and showed off some really neat tricks in that fight. Like she couldn't get past into DeCourcy's guard, past the high kicks, so she got back and like squatted down and waited for an opening. It was really, really crazy what she did. Apparently she worked on that in her camp. Very neat to watch. I don't know who to pick in this. The experience obviously goes to Brown, but the Zapatella's coming in more fresh. Very good striking herself and heavy hands. Brown's a good, decent striker also. On the ground, they're both very strong. This is hard to say, man. I don't even want to pick. I don't want to make a pick. If I have to, I'm going to go with Brown. I'll be happy either way. I like watching both of these ladies fight. So I'll be happy either way. But if you back me in a corner, put a gun to my head, I'm going to go with Brown. Anyway, we're going to move along. So let me get the picture up here. So this is all at 115. 115 pounds fight. Sharon Jacobson taking on, originally supposed to take on Kanako Murata from Japan, making her U.S. debut. She's fought in Ryzen and Pancrase. But Murata got injured, had to withdraw. A little over a week notice, maybe even less. I can't remember when the announcement was made. I think it's only like a week notice. Kay Hansen coming in. Really like Kay Hansen. To me, she's like her nickname should be the Bully as well, because she is very aggressive. She is coming off a loss to Erin Blanchfield at flyweight, I believe, at the last Invicta FC event. What was that? Unanimous decision? Majority decision. So, very good fight, very close fight. Very interesting to watch. Before that, she was riding a 2-fight win streak versus Gabby Romero at Cage Wars, and Helen Peralta at Invicta 3 months ago, so that would have been Invicta FC 31. Kay Hansen is must-watch TV, guys. Sharon Jacobson is another wrestler, much like Hansen. She last fought at Invicta, where she took a unanimous decision win over Ashley Nichols. That was 10 months ago, so that's Invicta 28 or 29. Since then, she fought in Pancrase, dropped a unanimous decision to super veteran Emi Fujino, who has like 30-some fights. So no shame in that. That was 6 months back. I watched that fight. It's a pretty good fight. Fujino just has so much experience. And Fujino's weakness is striking, whereas Jacobson's more of a wrestler. Who wins this fight? They're both wrestlers. So this could very possibly devolve into a kickboxing intensive fight. If so, it's going to be hard to call. I like Hansen, if it stays striking. If it goes to the ground, well, it depends on who gets it there and who maintains top control, because they're obviously wrestlers. Wrestlers don't want to be on bottom. They're not BJJ players. They want to stay on top. Both have very good top control. Who wins on the ground? Who gets it there? Guys, this to me is a toss-up. Kay Hansen mentioned on Instagram, possibly Twitter, I don't have Twitter, that she hasn't lost a short notice fight. So this could work in her favor. She comes in knowing she comes in on short notice, she comes in with the fire up her butt. So this could possibly work in her favor. But against a veteran like Jacobson, she's what? 8-fight veteran. 3 more fights than Hansen. No. Yeah, 3 more fights than Hansen. It could work against her. Who knows? I can't pick this one. This one is... I was really excited to watch Jacobson versus Kanako Murata. I probably might have picked Murata based on the wrestling credentials in that fight. This one, man, Hansen is just... She threw a monkey wrench into this fight. I don't know. I just don't know. So we're going to have to move on. That was to the co-main event. All right, guys, co-main event. Co-main event, strawweight fight. Danielle Taylor coming down to Invicta from the UFC, getting cut by the UFC. She's coming in with a 9-4 record. Lost her last two to J.J. Aldrich. Lost a unanimous decision. Got completely outworked on the feet. And then she lost a decision to Yan Xiaonan. Now, she took Yan Xiaonan to a decision. Got to give credit to Taylor for being the first fighter that Jean hasn't finished in I don't know how many fights. So credit to her for that. She mostly survived because she managed to. She runs, guys. She uses lateral movement to avoid the fight a lot of the time. I'm not a Taylor fan. I think I've said it before. Not a Taylor fan. Now, she is saying on social media that she wants to bring the dynamite back for this fight and show everyone what she has in her punches. Now, she did kind of show it a little bit against Zahn. She wobbled Zahn and Jean in her last fight. So, I hope she does. Danielle Taylor probably won't watch this, but if you do, bring the dynamite back, please. Make me a fan. Make me a fan. She's fighting against Montserrat Ruiz. Montserrat Ruiz is coming in. She's from Mexico? Yeah, she's Mexican. Coming in off it with a 9-fight perfect win streak, 9-0. She hasn't fought in a year. Her last fight was a win against Sarai Signs at XFL. Signs was 2-0 at the time. Fight before that, a year and 3 months ago, against Saray Orozco, 1-1. Jasmine Gonzalez, 2 years, 5 months ago. Before that, coming in with no fights. So she was 6-0, taking on someone with no fights. Guys, we got a can crusher. Now, is she a good can crusher? I don't know. I don't know anything about Ruiz. I haven't watched any of her tape. Let's see. What's the size difference? They're both 5'0". I see a fighter who's 5'0", and it makes me think of Rudy, you know. He's like, you're 5'0", 100 Love that movie. Anyway, so I'm going to have to go with Taylor on this. Taylor by UD. She's got the experience. 13 fights to 9 fights. But Taylor has more experience against vastly better fighters. Ruiz hasn't fought anybody worth mentioning. And no offense to our opponents, but you're 9-0. You're not supposed to be fighting people who are like 2-0 anymore, okay? Not in MMA. Boxing, you can get away with it. MMA, nah. That ain't how it works. It's really not how it works in MMA. Unless you're in Brazil, Russia, they're known for can crushing. I guess Mexico might be now. I don't know. So we'll see. But I'm going to go by Taylor in a fight that I don't think this should be the co-main event. When it was announced as a co-main event, I was scratching my head. I'm still scratching my bald head. But I'm going to go with Taylor by UD. Now, if Taylor surprises me and knocks out Ruiz, she might possibly make me a fan. But until she does that, can't say. So, moving along to the main event. Rematch from Invicta FC 30. I was there for this one. Jinyu Fry coming in. She won the decision. She's the Invicta FC champion. Defending against challenger Minna Grusander. Jinyu Fry coming in 7-3 versus Grusander, who's 6-2. Can't even remember who Grusander's loss was to. It was a while ago. I want to say it was in Japan. Against, she lost to Shiri Kondo at 115. So that's no shame in that there. Now she's at atom weight. Jin Yu Fry coming in off the lone win versus Grusander. Before that, she lost a year ago to Sahi Ham at Road FC 45. Got knocked out. Before that, had a win versus Ashley Smashley Cummins a year and 4 months ago. Grusander, of course, coming in off the loss to Fry. Contentious, and we'll get to that. Before that, she beat Fernanda Priscilla, who was 2-1 at the time, via TKO, ground and pound. That was 8 months ago. That was her Invicta debut. Before that, had a win versus Hannah Gujwan. Before that, Elena Baleo. So, you know, the fight last time, the decision was contentious. I was surprised by myself. I thought they were going to give it to Grusander. I wouldn't have been disappointed if they gave it to Fry, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people say, well, Grusander dominated the fight, but it was because of Wallenstall. She mostly dominated in the Wallenstall. Yeah, she had her points in the striking and on the ground when she got there, but for the most part, she was Wallenstalling off of failed takedowns against Jin. So I think what the judges looked at was, well, they might have looked at that as a stalemated position. And personally, I hate Wallenstall. I hate Wallenstall. I hate lay and pray. I want fighters to be more active. Okay, Grusander couldn't take Fry down, had very hard time taking her down. She should have given up on the takedowns, gone back to the striking. Fry was able to get to, you know, make her way out against the cage a lot of the time in that fight. So, and she had a very good, the third round was all Jin Yu Fry, arguably a 10-8 round. I think it was the third round. So, what is the keys to each fighter winning this fight? Well, Grusander was mostly the aggressor in the first fight. But if she wants to win this time, she needs to outstrike, and she needs to learn to give up on failed takedown defense, go back to striking, and start over. Okay? Don't Wallenstall again, because they might not award her for it again. So, they might punish her for it. Yeah, they might not reward her for it. They might punish her for it again. So, Grusander needs to not do the Wallenstall. If you can't get the takedown, give up on it. Or if you're going to do it, you got to finish the takedown. You got to finish the takedown. If not, give up. Go back to striking. What does Jin Yu Fry need to do? She needs to be the aggressor in this one. She wasn't aggressive enough in the first fight, and I think that cost her a lot because she let Grusander control a lot. She needs to be the aggressor. She needs to fight every round like she fought the third round of the last fight. Go get the takedowns first, Jen. She got the takedown and just GMP'd the heck out of Grusander in that third round. Grusander's face was pretty messed up after that. I had a swollen eyes were swollen. Jin Yu Fry had black eyes, but honestly, I thought Grusander looked worse after the fight because of that third round. Talking so much, I'm getting parched. Doing that for almost an hour does that to you. So Fry needs to be uber aggressive in this fight. She needs to avoid getting pushed against the cage. And when she does, she needs to get off the cage faster. That's the keys to victory in this fight. Now, we've had a lot of people saying that Jin won because of, you know, political reasons, or some people are saying Invicta wanted her to win, and, you know, Invicta is like the only fight promotion that really goes to Missouri on a regular basis, so they bring in money for the Missouri Commission. And you know what? Bullshit, guys. I'm calling bullshit. Go back, watch the fight results being announced. Okay? The look of shock on both Shannon Knapp and Laura Sanko will tell you everything you need to know that this fight was the decision was it wasn't fixed. The fight wasn't in, and it wasn't a political decision. Okay, it was the judges choosing to score how they saw fit. Invicta had nothing to do with it. It wasn't a political thing. Okay, and because right away Julie Kedzie was on Twitter later that night, she disagreed with it. Julie and TJ. I haven't watched the fight with commentary on yet, but they were on Drew Sanders' nuts all night, riding her bandwagon all night. And they disagreed with it, and Shannon Knapp replied on Twitter that she also thought that the decision was bad. Again, I could have gone either way when I was watching it. I was talking to somebody working with Invicta, and he thought Grusander won, but he also said, he's like, I can't disagree with the decision because it's a unique, like the way they scored it, they're not going to just score based on pure control and cage control. I won't name names. I'm not going to name names, guys. But he thought it was a neat way to score too. So either way, who's going to win this? Again, a lot of people thinking Grusander's going to win and take what was rightfully hers. Other people think that Jinh Yu Frey's going to defend and take what's rightfully hers. I don't know. Who wins this fight? Whoever follows the keys to victory I named earlier. So, I got a press pass again. I'll be there live. I'll be taking photographs. I'll try to update on my Instagram at LETO1776. I'll try to update it live during the event. I'll definitely be posting weigh-in pics. I'll try to get more interviews this time. I got an interview with Jen last time. She was the only fighter left at the end of the event. If I have to sacrifice filming some entrances and videoing the entrances and getting some early photos to get some more interviews, I'll definitely talk to the PR guys. I would love to get more interviews. I'll try to talk to some fighters at the weigh-ins as well, once that's all done. Because, once that's all done, the fighters are more relaxed. There's less stress because the hard part's done. And Invicta does ceremonial weigh-ins now too. So I'll try to talk to some more fighters at the weigh-ins, possibly get some questions asked. Keep an eye on my Instagram at Leto1776, LETO1776. So we're going to move along to Road FC 51 XX. All women's event. Okay, Road FC 51 XX. I'm going to try my damnedest. I already scheduled it on YouTube. I'm going to try my damnedest to live stream Fight Companion this event. It's like 5 a.m. on the East Coast, so I got to get up at like 4 a.m. I think in Kansas City to do this. It's going to be a bitch. I got to control my drinking the night before, or just wake up and start drinking early. It goes down Saturday on live for the U.S. If you're in the U.S., it's on DAZN, D-A-Z-N. If you're international, it should be on YouTube. In Korea, SPO TV, SPO TV. I'm not sure how else all they're viewing. Anyway, 4 out of 5 fights are in the atomweight division. I'm in heaven. Heaven. I'm in heaven. I'm a goofball. Don't like it, deal with it. Deal with it. Or if you can't deal with it, bye, go watch another channel. So first fight, atomweight division, Yoonha Hong versus Hyunju Baek. Guys, don't expect great records on this fight. This is the first time that Road FC, this is their third all-women's event. First time that it is all Koreans, so it is, all but one of them are Korean because of a late replacement. But the one that replaced her is living in Korea and training in Korea right now. So it's their first all domestic double X event. The double X stands for the 2X chromosome that all biological females share. First fight, Yuna Hong versus Hyunju Baek. Yuna Hong's coming in with a record of 1-4. If she hadn't missed weight in one of her fights, it'd be 2-3. Hyunju Baek's coming in with an 0-3 record. She made her debut in Road FC and then fought in Japan twice. Yuna Hong has fought all of her fights in Road FC, as far as I believe. Both of them coming. Yuna Hong is, I think, the oldest fighter on this card. She's 29. Hyunju Baek's only 20. She's the second youngest. According to Tapology, Hyunju Baek is 1 inch taller. I don't have reaches for either of them. Hyunju Baek, nothing really, to me, really stands out about her. She's scrappy. But what Korean fighter isn't scrappy, right? She's scrappy. Yuna Hong is a purple belt in BJJ. She lives and trains in Songtan, which, if you're familiar with U.S. military, Osan Air Base is based right next to Songtan, or on the outskirts of Songtan. I spent 2.5 years there, so I have an affinity for Yuna Hong. I'm going to have to go with Hong here by decision. I don't think she'll win. I don't think she'll finish Hyunju Baek, but I'm going to go with Yuna Hong by decision. If she finishes the fight, it's definitely by submission, though. Next fight. Oh, I didn't replace this photo, unfortunately. So, this was supposed to be a catchweight bout between Kim Young-ji and Kim Hae-in. Unfortunately, I forgot to change the photo on my iPad. I did change it on my phone because that's what I'll be streaming off of Saturday for the Fight Companion. So, Kim Young-ji is now facing Rowan Pilger from the U.S. In an open weight bout. Kim Young-ji is 1-3. She's coming in. She's 24 years old. She's 5'3". She is a teammate of Yeji Lee, who's in the co-main event of this fight. She's known now as the Yoshiko Killer because she beat Yoshiko Hirano last December at the last Road FC XX event, I believe. Rowan Pilger is making her professional MMA debut. I think she has some amateur bouts. Give me a sec. I'm trying to open a bottle here. Get some more whiskey. Screw it. We'll go back to the same one. She's 29 years old. Okay, so she is tied for being the eldest fighter on the card. She's from Washington State, I believe, where she might have been a state champion, or she was definitely in the state tournament, according to Road FC's website. She also lived in Japan for several years, where she trained judo. So her ground skills should be very good. Young-ji Kim beat Yoshiko with very basic kickboxing skills. Don't know what Rowan Pilger's guys, if that paused, I'm very sorry. It looks like I lost some viewers. I hope it didn't pause. If not, we'll get caught up later. So anyway, Young-ji Kim versus Rowan Pilger, back to that. So Pilger should have an advantage on the ground. She's training out of the Road FC gym in Wonju. The official Road FC has several gyms across Korea. Wonju is Road FC's hometown. I think that means she trains with Soo-Chol Kim, the former bantamweight champ there. So who wins this fight? I don't know. Young-ji Kim is, again, not very good. But Rowan Pilger's never fought professionally in MMA before. So just don't know. So let me fix this again. Move along. Okay, much better. So, back to atomweight. Yuri Shim making her atomweight debut. Her most of her fights have been at, I believe, strawweight, although she might have had one fight in Japan at atom weight. I have to check on that. Check on that real quick. Anyway, Yuri Shim is coming in. She's 24. She has a record of 4-2, 5'6", no height available. She trains out of Team Genius, which is a striking focused team. If you ever watched one of her fights in Red FC, they've made mention of that before. She is fighting Ming Shi. The pictures are have the names in the Asian style. Last name first, first name last. Ming Shi is fighting out of China. She is 2-2. She's also 24 years old. Looks like, according to Topology, she's 3 inches shorter. Let's see. So, Yuri Shim is a Muay Thai stylist. She fought, I believe she was a member of the national Muay Thai team in Korea, whereas Ming Shi is a Taekwondo stylist. So, you have a Korean Muay Thai stylist taking on a Chinese Taekwondo stylist. Taekwondo is Korean martial arts. So, you can't make this crap up, guys. I swear. Ming Shi's coming in with a record of 2-2. She's coming off a win against Shiho Harada at UFC back in August or September. And Shiho Harada was who Yuri Shim made her professional debut against and won. Yuri Shim is coming again off a unanimous decision win against Sohee Lim in a fight that totally didn't go how anyone really expected it to go. Yuri Shim showed a much better ground game in that fight against an opponent who everyone thought would have a stronger ground game because of the fact that Yuri Shim's gym doesn't have a cage and it doesn't have mats on the wall even. So there are very little, hard to work against, to defend against takedowns or work your way back up against the wall if there's not a cage wall, half cage wall, or even mats on the wall. So how is this fight going to look out? Keys to victory for Ming Shi is to keep distance and use her kicks. Okay, I don't think she wants to go. She showed some weaknesses on the ground against Harada in her last bout. I think she's going to want to maintain distance to use her kicks because that's what Taekwondo specialists are. Yuri Shim is going to want to close distance. She's the Muay Thai fighter. She very good knees in the clinch, and she showed a much improved ground game. She actually is pretty good on the. I'm not going to say she's very good. Her ground game is very workable as long as she is on top. As long as she stays on top, does very good. And Ming Shi showed weakness on the bottom. She almost got armbarred by Shiho Harada in her last fight. So I'm going to go with the more experienced Yuri Shim here. Now, the last fight, both of these fighters are coming off of strawweight or catchweight fights in their last fight. So I think this is an atomweight debut for both. It'll be interesting to see if they make weight. I have no doubt they'll make weight. They're both pretty skinny, typical skinny Asian chicks. She means a little softer bodied, whereas Yuri Shim's really slim and a little more ripped. So it'll be, but still, I have no doubt they'll be able to make weight for atom weight. And they're going to want to, because here's how Road FC weigh-ins work. You miss weight the first time, you get a chance to weigh in again, but you're getting fined half your purse. You miss weight a second time, depending on how much you still miss weight by, you could forfeit more of your purse up to the entire purse. I've seen a fighter forfeit his entire purse because he failed to make weight for a title. It was a championship fight. For an interim title fight. Oh, man. And his point penalty, because Road FC does an open scoring system, it's called, an infinite scoring system, where activity, everything. You get points based on what you do in the fight, and it's actually hard to score in this system. And despite that, a lot of people think that it that would just mean more point fighting. No, watch a Road if you haven't watched a Road FC event, there's very little to no point fighting because they also have penalties for activity. They have a blue card warning system. They have a yellow card. It doesn't carry the same penalties as like Pride. I don't think they take more money with those yellow cards, but they do take points away. So you miss weight, you are automatically starting at a very difficult to overcome deficit. You miss weight, you have to finish to win. So these two are going to be working very hard to not miss weight. But I don't think they'll have trouble because they're not very big anyway. If they came to US, they'd have to fight atomweight anyway because they're not very big. I mean, even with their Yuri Shim's 5'6", but she's still very small for that 5'6". That's tall for atomweight, but you look at her, she's very slim. She'd give up a lot of size to strawweights in the US. So I'm going to go by Yuri Shim by decision, just by experience and better all-around skills. So moving along to the co-main event, also in atomweight, 4 out of 5, the third out of the 4 atomweight fights. We have Yeji Lee, 19 years old, youngest fighter on the card. Coming in with a 3-4 record. She's 5 foot 1 inches. Trains out of a gym belonging to her cousin's husband or something like that. Is it Wandru? No, I think it's Chanju. She's taking on the professional debutante Su-Yeon Lee. Su-Yeon Lee was on the last TV show, I think it was last year. It was called Fearless Guys. It was ran by Road FC. It was like a fighter's tryout show. She had to withdraw from that due to injury, but look at the picture. She's a cute girl, pretty cute, gained a lot of attention, getting a lot of attention still leading up to this fight. She is training out of the Road FC Apgujeong gym. I think they're calling themselves Team Korea now, but it's the Road FC corporate gym in Apgujeong, which is like the trendiest area in Seoul in South Korea. Like Apgujeong, the Seoul Gangnam style. Apgujeong's like a part of it's like a subdivision of Gangnam. Like Gangnam-gu is a district, Apgujeong is Don, so it's like a sub-district or neighborhood, whatever. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Su-Yeon Lee's 24 years old. She'll have a 3-inch height advantage, 5'4" to 5'1", but she's also making her pro debut. How does she fight? I don't know. I didn't get to see like how she did on the TV show because it was only on Korean TV. Yeji Lee is a bit of an all-rounder. She mostly prefers to go to the ground. She has a weakness, though, against strong wrestlers or people with a stronger ground wrestling game than her. Striking's very basic. She's just a young 19-year-old fighter. Her first fight was, according to this, 2 weeks after her 16th birthday. Might have been her 15th. I got to look that up. Korea has a weird way of calculating their age. It's almost always a year older than it is in the West. One thing that works in favor, of course, is in Yeji Lee's favor is the experience. 7 fights total versus none for Su-Yeon Lee. And she also fought some very good fighters. She made her debut against Satoko Shinashi, who at the time had 34 fights and only like 2 or 3 losses. Lost that fight, of course. And then her very next fight, she went up against the atomweight KO queen, Hisei Watanabe. Lost by KO, TKO there. That fight was a quick stoppage. Anyway, she has since avenged her initial loss to Satoko Shinashi won a decision. Um, So she's coming in with a wealth of experience. Now, Soo-Yeon Lee is training again, coming out of a very good gym, Apgujeong Gym. Road FC Apgujeong Gym boasts very good fighters. I think they have like 2 champions there now, the middleweight and lightweight champion for the men. But no, the thing is, she's getting a lot of TV. Well, both of these fighters are getting a lot of TV interviews. They're both become media darlings because, they're cute. Yeji Lee, because she's so young. She was fighting in high school. She's first year of college now, I believe. Soo-Yeon Lee, of course, because of the TV show and her looks. Will the media factor play into this? Very possible. More time you spend doing media is less time training. I'm going to have to go with Yeji Lee in this. She'll get her record back up to 500. Hopefully she'll get another fight, that's winnable fight for her. Finally get into that winning bracket again. She lost her last 2. Soo-Yeon Lee getting, the typical Asian women's treatment in that she's facing someone with a lot more fights than her in her pro debut. That's just how it is over there. It's even worse in Japan than it is in Korea. But I'm going to have to go with Yeji Lee by decision. If she finishes the fight, I'm going to say by submission. We'll go rear naked choke. If she finishes it. But I'm going to go by Yeji Lee by decision. Moving along to the main event. Okay. Road FC Atomweight Championship fight. The reigning defending champion, Sahi Ham, coming in with an 18-8 record. She's 31 years old. She's 5 feet 2 inches tall. Only fighter I have with a reach available for 62 inches. Not very good reach. She fights out of Team Mad in Busan, where she's been training for a long time. She is taking on Monster Wolf Jong-un Park, who is coming in with a 4-4-1 record. She's 22 years old, and she is also 5'2". I don't have a reach for her. She trains out of Team Strong Wolf, a Sambo, and also now offering BJJ Gym in Namyeonju. So a lot of people are calling this a mismatch, and it most likely, it's hard to not call it a mismatch right now. Ham has the greater experience. She has a greater experience against a lot better fighters. Overall better striker. Ground games, I even got to give that to Ham, although I don't expect this to go to the ground. If someone does, Park's probably going to initiate the ground game in this fight. This is still, though, a very important fight. A lot of people asked why they made this fight, and from what I could understand from a translated article from Google, from Road FC, Dae-Hwan Kim, the Road FC CEO, was asked, isn't this a mismatch? Why'd you make it? I think, from what I understood, he tried to get a foreign fighter to come in to face Ham again, but I guess he might have had a hard time. I believe that's what I read. I don't know. But he asked Ham, if you have to fight one of the Korean fighters, who would you rather fight? And so it chose, I guess they both picked Jong-un Park. Out of so Sahi Ham is the first generation of women fighters from Korea. She's the only one, really. Most other Korean ladies who have fought before this current second generation were like, there's this management team called CMA. They're Japanese based, but they have a Korean branch, CMA Korea. They would pick up these Korean girls who had no actual fight experience. They take them to Japan and put them up against the fight veterans, very big fight veterans, and they'd be one and done. So Seo-Hyeom was the only fighter, Korean female fighter, to really have pick up wins over there in Japan and internationally, and to do well against even, fighters with a lot better records than her. And she stuck with it. She's the only one to stick with it. Jong-un Park, on the other hand, belongs to this new crop of second-generation fighters, almost all of whom are fighting on this card tonight, or Saturday, that we're talking about. But she is the most promising. Good kickboxing. She's trains out of a gym that I guess trains Sambo. I think she was on a Sambo, national team Sambo, but her junior team. I don't know how much that means. I'm not a follower of the Sambo movement. So this fight's very important for the Korean scene and for Road FC, because it is the first time, Seo-Hyeom, she fought her initial title fight against a Japanese fighter, and then they brought in Jin Yu Fry, who, while Korean descent, is an American fighter. So this is the first time this fight title is being fought between two Koreans. It's the first time two Korean ladies are fighting against each other for any type, real title worth its salt. So it's a very important promotionally for them and for the Korean scene. And, I wasn't disappointed when the fight was made. I was hoping they'd get somebody like Amber Brown or somebody to bring it in and, to fight Ham. I guess they couldn't. Again, I'm not quite sure. I have a few people I can ask through social media. I'll have to ask them before Saturday. I have been in contact with the one of the English commentary team on Facebook, and I talked to someone who works in the MMA media who's Korean based. Maybe they can explain it to me. I'll see if I can find out before Saturday for the stream. So, big thing here is Jong-un Park is a slow starter. She tends to take the first round off, uses it to warm up and get going. You'd almost think she's the Muay Thai fighter the way she does that. So the important thing to ask is, can Park survive the first round? If she does, she'll be able to turn it up. She really does start turning it up in the later rounds. I think she lost the first round in her last win to Emi Tomomatsu. She's coming off a loss also. But in her fight against, 30-fight veteran or something or 20-fight veteran Emi Tomomatsu, she won by unanimous decision. She started slow again, but really turned it on in the second and third rounds. Ham, on the other hand, is probably going to be looking to counter like she did in her last fight. And just overall, excellent striker. She's one of the single best strikers in the atomweight division, possibly the best. Several sites rank her number 1 right now. Some people disagree with that. They still say it's Ayaka Hamasaki. Your opinions vary. Hamasaki is fighting in an 108-pound division. Road FC, because of the metric system, it's 105.5 they have to weigh for this fight. So it's closer to the real atomweight division. And also, Ham's been more active. Hamasaki's coming off 2 wins this year over, I think she took off 2 years before that. A lot of people are disparaging Ham for taking this fight. Well, the only people that are really disparaging Ham are jerk-offs. Anyway, but they are disparaging her for taking this fight, whereas Ayaka Hamasaki is taking on Kana Sakura on New Year's Eve. And Kana Sakura is, a very good prospect as well. Jong-un Park's also a very good prospect, but she was freaking fed to the wolves early in her career. And, I'd say she's fought more experienced veterans than Asakura has. So, that's not taken away from Asakura either, who's also very good. But Asakura's best wins are arguably against Reina, who is on the same experience level. Park's best win is probably Emi Tomomatsu, who's like 10-10 or 11-11 now or something like that. Journeyman record, but that's, you got to understand. Excuse me. That's how it is in WMMA, especially in the women's scene. They fight a lot of the same fighters over and over again. So you'll have these very mixed records. Ham is what? 18-8 now? Fought several fighters several times. She's lost to Ayaka Hamasaki twice. The last time they fought was like 2010 or something. Both very different fighters now. So anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. I'm going to go with Sahi Ham, either by KO, early, or decision. Park has to, again, survive the first round to turn it up in the later rounds, but even then, I just don't see it. I think she'll drop to 4-5, but this will be a very good learning fight for her, and it is keeping in tradition with what a lot of these Korean fight girls have to go through of fighting, more experienced fighters. I wish the Korean promotion wouldn't do it to them, because the Japanese promotions already do it to them. They do it to their own fighters too. But I have to go with Ham on this one. Guys, I've been going on for an hour and 26 minutes. This is the longest WMMA scene report we've ever done, mostly because of the 2 event previews. Thank you everyone who joined. I think the stream high was 4 viewers. I don't get a lot of live viewers on these streams. A lot more people tune in later on. So thanks to everyone that'll watch later on. Guys, didn't have a very active chat tonight, but please let me know what 3rd or 4th. I think 3rd time they canceled a whole event weekend. Let me know your thoughts about them. I'll be at Invicta FC. I won't be streaming live. I will take a lot of pictures. I'll try to get some interviews and photos to put up. Also, I will be, of course, I'm going to try my damnedest to get up early enough to not live stream. I'll be live streaming. I'll be doing Fight Companion for Road FC 51. I believe that these young ladies over there in Korea and competing in Road FC, they deserve it. And also, you don't get too many live all-female events. Invicta FC does it, Deep Jewels does it, and Road FC does it occasionally. So, but a lot of times I have to work, so I can't, do the whole event. So we'll try to do another Fight Companion. This will be my 2nd time. Hopefully it won't go too freaking long, like the last Invicta one did. And hopefully I'll still have a voice the next morning, the rest of the day. So, guys, let me know your comments and thoughts down below. And, hey, guys, thumbs ups are always appreciated. I'll see you Saturday. Until then, thanks for watching WMMA Scene Report. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene now. The best, the fastest growing, over 10% in the last month alone, subscriber growth. Women's mixed martial arts dedicated, fully dedicated to women's mixed martial arts, and only dedicated to women's mixed martial arts platform on YouTube.